games that are just dreadful. Let's look at the top of the league for the moment. So obviously we've won the league. Arsenal are going to finish in the top 5. Where is still to be determined, but they're going to be in. They need 1 point to basically be guaranteed Champions League football for next season. And luckily enough for them, they play Southampton on the final day of the season. The other 3 spots, though, there's still 5 clubs in the mix.
Actually, do you know what? Just beforehand, should we talk about Southampton not being the joint worst team of all time?
This was bus parking on an epic level. Like, this was, if anybody in the Southampton or entire South Coast region was wondering why the buses were running slowly on Sunday, or Saturday rather, it's because they were all at St. Mary's, lined up in front of the goal. Ruben Diaz was fuming in his post-match interview.
Do what you got to do, eh?
You have to do it, though. Like, it's professional pride. You do not want to go into the history books as, you know, the team with the lowest points tally or joint lowest points tally of all time. You just don't want that. So, look, they finished with 12 points. Historically, nobody's going to really remember that because people only remember the worst. They remember the best and they remember the worst. So this will get forgotten about down the line. They won't be in the record books with the name next to derbies. So that's fine. Congrats to them. But for City, it felt like a blown opportunity because given Arsenal play Newcastle next weekend, there was a real chance for both Newcastle and City to end up jumping Arsenal this season and for Arsenal to end up finishing 4th, which would have been funny if they finished 4th in a 2-horse race. And if City had finished above them, given how bad City were for a large chunk of the season, it would have just been hysterical, to be quite honest. But you've got Newcastle on 66, City on 65, Chelsea on 63, Villa on 63, and Forest on 62, who blew a massive opportunity yesterday with a 2-2 draw at home to Leicester. Now, the way the fixtures have worked out, Newcastle play Arsenal next, and then they've got Everton home on the final day. So I would expect Newcastle to win both of those games. I'd expect them to win the final game, which I think will be enough to guarantee them a Champions League spot. The Arsenal game could go either way. Man City have Bournemouth at home and then Fulham away. They're both difficult enough games, and Bournemouth are still in the mix for a Europa League spot. Chelsea play United home. They'll win that because United are crap, but they'll be focused on the Europa League. And then they go to Forest on the final day. Villa play Spurs home, and they'll win that because Spurs will be focused on the Europa League. And then they go to Old Trafford on the final day. And Forest have West Ham away, and then that game against Chelsea. Now, I initially thought that game Forest-Chelsea would decide which of them gets in, but it may actually decide if both of them miss out. Because I think Villa will win both of the remaining games. I think Chelsea will win next weekend. So they would go to Forest needing a win to get in. A draw won't be enough, I don't think. It might be, but I don't think it will. A Forest win likely leaves them in 6th and Chelsea in 7th. But Chelsea win will probably push them into 5th. Villa would finish 6th and Forest would be 7th.
I mean, it's a good job for the Premier League that there is A, a lot of teams doing their level best to miss out, and B, an extra spot, potentially an extra 2 spots, but through the league play, an extra spot for Champions League this year, because otherwise it would be a fairly turgid and low-key end to the season, wouldn't it? Let's be honest, if it was just basically Newcastle or Man City or maybe just Chelsea or something like that. But with the extra spot, it does make things a lot more interesting. I mean, Forest look as if they're done, don't they? We spoke about this only, 3 weeks ago or so, and I thought that they would still do enough to get in, but obviously that was going on things like not drawing to Leicester, which is 2 points dropped, whatever way you look at it. So given that they haven't won since they played Tottenham, who, as we've just discussed, have been actually one of the worst teams in the entire Premier League recently. I think we just discount them now. But as you say, they can still have a say by drawing with Chelsea or something similar to that. So,
and Chelsea will have no Nicholas Jackson for the rest of the season after yesterday's red card.
Correct. I'm not 100% sure that I think that really affects matters. Like he did score, was it Everton he scored against? But other than that, I don't remember too many amazing games from him recently, I'll be honest. And obviously he's been rested in Europe while they play the star names like Reggie Walsh and Tariq George and Kieran Dewsbury Hall and that lot in the European semi-finals that they've had. I guess Chelsea will win one of those two games. I don't think they win both of them. I don't think they showed enough against Newcastle to suggest in those really, really big games, even when they did have the 11 men for a bit, that they have enough about them mentally as well as just general ability levels, to be perfectly honest, to really go at those. Now, what we're seeing here from Newcastle at the minute is in a series of quite big matches, they have things about them now. They have the awareness of how they play. They have the solidity in their game. They have the physicality. But more importantly, and all the rest of that, as we've spoken about a billion times before, they now have belief. And all that comes from winning the cup final.
Yeah, it does. On that topic, so let's just say it ends the way it ends, right? So let's just say we get to match week 38, final whistle goes. It's Liverpool first, Arsenal second, Newcastle third, City fourth, Chelsea fifth. Let's say City win the FA Cup and Chelsea win the Europa Conference League. Could there be a case made that of the top 5 teams, despite finishing second, Arsenal have had the worst season? Because Newcastle will have finished Champions League and a cup, City would have Champions League and a cup, and Chelsea would have Champions League and a cup. And Arsenal would have Champions League and nothing else. Because it's not like they've been a real contender for the title. They've been in the same batch as Newcastle, City, Chelsea, Villa and Forest.
There's an argument for it, for sure. It's always going to be subjective, of course, because some people value league placing, some people value points tally, some people value the trophies. I think everybody values being in Europe as well. So I think if you win a cup and don't get in the Champions League, it will still be seen as Champions League is the better season.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could definitely argue, for example, Newcastle have had a better season. I don't think Man City would have had a better season than Arsenal just by being in the Champions League spots.
But if they win the FA Cup?
But if they win the FA Cup, probably. Or do you think they will? Are we discussing that today? Do we dare? Crystal Palace have been pretty decent of late.
I really want Crystal Palace to win the FA Cup.
Well, of course you bloody do. Everybody wants Crystal Palace to win the FA Cup.
But City have won 4 of their last 5 in the league. City have actually been, other than that disastrous showing at the weekend, but they probably still could have won 5-0. City have actually very quietly put together a good run in the league.
Yeah, they'd won, 4 in a row, something like that. They were back to almost going about Arsenal again. But like, even though I think Palace haven't necessarily won all of the games, like drawn 2-2 away to Arsenal, pretty good.
Yeah.
Absolutely hammered Villa in the semis. A draw to to Forest is not terrible anyway, given where Forest have been all season. And then it's a Tottenham. I think there's a...
They got a draw against Bournemouth as well when they played the entire second half with 10 men, which I thought was a pretty good result for them as well. So even though, like you said, they haven't been winning the games, they have played well in a lot of these recent games. And even, you go back a little bit further, they beat Brighton at home despite finishing with 9 men. It was a really good game, but that's a big win for them because it's obviously a rival. I'm really hopeful that Palace can pull this off and win the FA Cup. Just not even because it's Man City. It's just to have a different winner on it.
Yeah. Have we got time on this pod for an old man gripe?
Of course we do.
Great. FA Cup final day happening before the end of the Premier League season.
Agreed. Absolute nonsense. It's nonsense. The FA Cup final should be the close of the English football season. The Charity Shield or Community Shield, or whatever you want to call it, is the opening of the English football season, and the FA Cup final is the closing of the English football season. That's how it should be. They did this a few years back where they brought the cup final into the season. People hated it, and they pushed it back to the end, and now they've gone back to doing it this way. And I assume the reason is the World Club Cup gibberish that's going on, but it's a nonsense to me that the FA Cup final should be the last game of the English football calendar.
Alright, the Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts and even Liverpool legends along the way, with the Great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at anfieldindexpro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that, from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.